Welcome to the Big Play Cleveland show presented by FanDuel. I'm Gabriella Cruz alongside Chris McNeil, Nick Padone, and a big shout out to our producer, Ryan Smith. As always, guys, our Brownies get the dub at home. I would just like to say, not to tout anything, but I did call it on this show that we would not lose back-to-back home games here in Cleveland. What did you think of the game?
And I think we both laughed at you. So congratulations. You were absolutely
Victory
right.
lap.
We were
Victory
wrong.
Monday.
The Browns made a lot of people wrong on Sunday, including two people at least at this desk. And it feels good, Nick. I know there's some people out there who said, oh, what about the draft order? And this team should really be tanking right now. But we needed some positivity. I mean, the Cavs right now are in the tank. They're not doing much. The Browns obviously have had just a horrid season. It feels good to get that W on Sunday during the holiday season, starting the new year, kind of off right and ending this year on the right foot.
Yeah, especially against the Steelers, too. Like, doesn't that just feel extra sweet to beat Pittsburgh, take care of home field? Like, it all feels so positive. And I get, like, people, want to read the mock drafts and look at the order and see the Browns right up the top and figure out the quarterback thing. There's plenty of time for that, guys. Like, we got to do this show in March and April. We can save the mock drafts for then. It's nice to win football games when you have the opportunity to. You'll never catch me apologizing for a win ever in the National Football League, but especially not against the Steelers. Feels really good.
It was also a special game because pregame, and McNeil, you were at the game, right, as well?
I was not at the game.
Oh, okay.
No.
By your tweets, I couldn't tell. I was at the game, and I was like,
tickets went to family. They enjoyed
Okay.
it. One of the members of my family here, a cousin of mine, happened to be a Green Bay fan, so he was anxious to see Aaron Rodgers last time, kind of his last go-around there. So it was nice to see that Aaron Rodgers got disappointed in his last time there at Cleveland Stadium.
Yeah, and what a treat that was. I mean, what were this like? Okay, headline is Browns win. Right underneath is, what the hell were the Steelers doing? Were they the team tanking in that game? Because it certainly looked that way.
They were so worried about one Myles Garrett and setting that sack record. They wanted no part of that. Aaron Rodgers wanted no part of it. We saw it a little bit last week with Josh Allen. He kept rolling away from Myles. This week, it was even more evident. Those quick throws, anything to avoid that sack, anything to put him out there, they were avoiding entirely.
They weren't going to have that on their watch, but it definitely backfired for them. Another big special part of this game was pregame when we had Kim Kane Dunlap as our Browns designated captain of the game with the guitar smash. If you didn't know, she's Bryce Dunlap's mother, and Bryce was part of a tragic accident and was able to donate his liver back in November to Bernie Kosar, which was a life-saving procedure for him. A very special moment pregame. This Browns win was for her and her whole family, not just Browns fans.
Well done by the Cleveland Browns on that one. It's nice to see, them recognizing her and her family's charity work, her what her son did for Bernie Kosar, obviously a huge member of the Cleveland community. So thank you to her. Thank you to her family. Thank you for making that sacrifice for Bernie Kosar.
Yeah, that one was for not just Cleveland fans, but Bryce, the Dunlap family, and everybody, Bernie Kosar. We're going to take a quick break and be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this. Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland show. Our Cleveland headlines are brought to you by Smart Choice Windows. Right now at Smart Choice Windows, you can get 50% off all windows during our limited time promotion. Plus, take advantage of their special financing with no money down and no interest until 2027. And if you're looking to upgrade your whole exterior, Smart Choice Windows is also offering $1,500 off siding for your entire home and $500 off entry door installation to boost your curb appeal. And remember that every project starts with a free, no-pressure estimate. So give them a call at 844-GET-SMART or visit smartchoicewindows.com and make sure to ask about the Big Play bonus to get an additional 10% off all promotions. So our Browns take it 13-6 over the Steelers. I think I know the answer to this, but did this game change your opinion of Kevin Stefanski at all?
No, not much. I think still at the end of the season, I think we're going to be cleaning house, getting rid of Kevin Stefanski, getting rid of Andrew Barry. But at the end of the day, we've talked about in the past weeks where this team looked like they had quit. I give a lot of credit to the team for showing up there on Sunday, playing very hard at home, playing like they had something to play for, even though they didn't, playing the Steelers who had everything to play for and played like they didn't. So a lot of credit goes to this team. A lot of resolve was shown on Sunday. Unfortunately for me, Nick, ultimately it's a little too late for these Cleveland Browns. We need to make a lot of changes this offseason, and one game isn't going to change that, no matter that it felt so good against the Steelers.
Yeah, because in the macro, you won 3 games last year, you win 4 this year. That's not good enough.
3 wasn't good enough. That's what ownership told us.
Maybe is 4 the step in the right direction? I don't necessarily believe so. I think that's the number one question, though, that needs to be solved once the regular season concludes is, what are you doing with Kevin? Because all of the reports that are out there say that ownership has not made up their decision or made up their mind. And I have to believe that Sunday's win over the Steelers certainly complicates things. It definitely throws a wrench into any plans that they might have because of the way that the team responded. So to me, that's the number one thing that's going to need addressed moving into the offseason. I know people are going to do Shedeur, stay and go. Do you trade up in the draft? What do you do with quarterback? But the head coach decision needs to come first. It needs to come soon, and it probably needs to come Sunday night after Browns-Bengals to give this organization a clear path forward.
Speaking of the clear path forward, do you think Shedeur Sanders is our clear path at quarterback? He was 17 for 23, 186 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. One of those a little fluky, one was pretty bad. What did you think of his continuation of his evolution?
He started strong again yesterday. He looked pretty good. Had that really, really bad interception. And I'll tell you what, the TV side did him dirty on that one. Showed the interception, immediately goes to Pops up there in the booth, and it shows him with his cowboy hat going down over his eyes, hiding his face. So that's exactly what the Browns didn't want, and that's what a lot of teams were worried about in drafting Shedeur Sanders. You can't talk about Shedeur without talking about Dion. Dion was there with being the dad that all of us would be in that situation when he throws a pick like that. But no, I don't think you could say anything conclusive about Shedeur from that, from what you saw yesterday, just like from what you've seen so far. He's a work in progress. He's a young quarterback. He's going to make mistakes. You see a few times where you say, hey, this guy's really got everything it takes to be an NFL quarterback, and other times where you're left scratching your head and saying that ball doesn't come out of his hand the right way. So, hey, it's still going to be a work in progress. It's going to be something we're going to deal with in this offseason once again. I expect them still to run it back with him next year, but that didn't change based upon what I saw on Sunday.
Yeah, and the thing is, the one thing that did change based on Sunday is you went from picking number 2 or potentially number 1 in the NFL draft all the way back to number 6. So Shedeur, to his credit, he played well enough to get a win, and that's ultimately what we're after. In the NFL's results-oriented business, wins and losses is how you're judged. What happens in the middle of the game is how you're evaluated. So I do think for Shedeur's sake, he makes it a lot easier for the Browns to run it back with them, because how are they going to draft a quarterback there at 6? You're going to trade up for one of these guys, for Mendoza or Dante Moore? I don't personally see that. I think you're much more looking like a scenario where maybe they try to add some veteran competition. Maybe the Browns are the Mac Jones team. Maybe they're the Malik Willis team. Or maybe we're living in a real world where it's a Deshaun Watson versus Shedeur Sanders quarterback competition in training camp next year, and Deshaun's the vet.
Are you happy with that? How do you think Browns fans are taking to this win over the Steelers? Is it team higher draft pick or team beat your rival? What do you think?
Feels pretty split, as most things in the Browns universe are. I'm personally good with it. I want to win so bad. I'm so starved for winning. And when you could beat the Steelers, I will sign up for that any day out of the week. But I definitely see the argument out there that people want to upgrade quarterback. That's always out there. The New York Giants just drafted Jackson Dart in the first round, and they're saying that they're going to evaluate the quarterbacks in this class. Everybody's always looking at quarterbacks unless you got one of the great ones.
Okay. Do you really believe the Steelers were more concerned about stopping Miles from getting the sack record than getting the win? Well, we covered that. I think that they were. It definitely affected their offense. Let's move on to Carson.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. And I think Aaron Rodgers really had it in his head. I don't know whether it's the vanity of Aaron Rodgers or what, but he didn't want to be the guy who gets sacked.
Is it the Favre thing that Favre is a part of history with that record, so he doesn't want to be part of history with that record? We know those two have that unspoken rivalry. I will say, though, like, to Tomlin's credit, like, just the devil's advocate argument, that is exactly how they played Myles Garrett the first time that the Browns played the Steelers. It was that close game. Dylan Gabriel couldn't make enough throws late, and you ultimately lose that one. But it was similar, where they were just running away from Myles Garrett that entire game. They were sure that he wasn't going to be the one that broke, the game against them, and that was how they managed it both times that these two teams have met. But I also think that there's something in Tomlin's ego that TJ Watt is the other record holder there, and he doesn't want Myles to break his guy's record. Like, it's dumb. It's certainly dumb. Like, I personally, if I'm the coach of the Steelers, I'd much rather win the division and have the guy break the stupid record. But now the opposite happened, and now you might not go to the playoffs. But at least Myles didn't break the record. Like, I guess you could hang that banner at the end of the season. Myles Garrett did not break the record against us.
It's got to come down to some male pride of some kind, because I mean, if you were out there in Rodgers' position, it's not like you'd be like just hanging out there.
No, I'm trying to win. I want to go to the playoffs. Like that was a game the Steelers needed. Like, if that game didn't mean anything, then sure, I'd be playing run around like Jake Paul in the Anthony Joshua fight. That's really what it looked like yesterday. They were just running for dear life away from Myles Garrett. And like, with the division on the line, I just don't think that was the right game plan. Like, I am still, as I sit here today, floored about the Steelers' game plan there.
Yeah, and they were playing cat and mouse, like, between the Browns and the Steelers, because they started moving Myles around a little bit more than what they had in the past. We kept talking about, hey, if they're rolling away from him, why don't you put him on the other side? I know, from a defensive scheme, you come in with a plan. You don't like to move those pieces a whole lot, but when you've got a guy chasing a record here like he did with the Browns, it was nice to move him around a bit, see if we could get that sack in there for it. It would have been nice to do it at home against the Steelers. Doesn't happen. I'll take the win, though.
We've got to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this. Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland show as we continue our Cleveland headlines brought to you by Smart Choice Windows. Speaking of smart choices, Carson Schlesinger played hurt all game. Harold Fannin re-aggravated that groin. Should the Browns be resting these guys for the finale and just let them have a long offseason and heal up, or play them in this last game?
Schlesinger, I'll tell you what, I was watching him out there, and he was limping all over the field. Even before they mentioned it on the broadcast, he looked like he was in bad shape, but he stayed out there. To his credit, he showed a lot of resolve. He got the game ball afterwards from Kevin Stefanski for that effort out there, but man, I don't know if you want to do that to a rookie, leave him out there when he's obviously in a whole lot of pain. Hey, look, he's had a great season. He should be the defensive rookie of the year. I think he will be the defensive rookie of the year. But if he's really hurt, there's no need to have him out there on the field.
Yeah, I think this is a classic, like, double-edged sword. Like, one, I appreciate the pants off of both Carson and Harold Fannin for fighting through like they did yesterday, because Harold Fannin got hurt at practice on Friday. He hurt that groin, comes up with a massive touchdown catch, and then quite literally just can't proceed in that game. And then Carson Schlesinger for being able to push through his injury as well. Like, I appreciate the toughness. We've seen how many Browns rookies, how many Browns seasons that would have just put their tail in between their leg and went off and sat on the bike on the sideline and just would have never returned to action. So I appreciate the heart. I appreciate the fight. But these are guys that we need next year. Like, we're talking about this Andrew Berry great draft class and that these are foundational pieces for the future. You already lost Quinshon Judkins for the season, and you're lucky that he's going to be good to come back next year. The worst thing that you could possibly have happen would be for a significant injury to pop up as a result of these nagging injuries to these guys. So I think we know what next week is against Cincinnati. It's two teams that aren't going to the playoffs. Like, hat tip to both of those young rookies. If they want to take your seat, now you got the opportunity to do
Harold
so.
Fannin had to stay in there and cash that anytime touchdown that we called once again last week as the guy we go to every single week for a touchdown, for a score. Obviously one of Shedeur's favorite targets, if not his favorite, though he did get Jerry Jeudy more involved yesterday. But it's good to see Fannin in the end zone. Stay healthy. Get healthy this offseason because you're going to be a stud for years to come.
With the way the defense is right now, do the Browns need to fix that much more to become a respectable team next year?
we got to fix so much on the offense right now. I mean, you got to rebuild that offensive line. We just talked about Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy actually did something and was just around 50 yards, and it seems like that's the most he's been targeted in a long, long time. We need to see more production out of that wide receiver position. So I'm looking for us to go heavy on the offensive line, heavy at wide receiver, and then fill in pieces on the defense. But overall, you got a really good defense, and a lot of those guys are coming back. You don't have a whole bunch of free agents coming out of that defense. So I think they're in pretty good shape. I'll be more interested, though, Nick, to see what happens a little bit higher than that. What happens at head coach? What happens with Andrew Berry? Because that's going to dictate a lot of the things down the line.
Yeah, because genuinely, like to Gab's question, like I think they're close. Like with this defense being as dominant as it is, like you're close. You're right there. It's just you need to fix the offense. And I do think like upgraded quarterback play where you're not having these, bad decisions creep in every single game, that can help. And upgraded special teams would go a long way where you don't have these massive returns into the other fields, the other team's territory and that side of the football field. It makes it hard on the defense. And then obviously the obvious, like this offensive line is bottom one in the National Football League. KT Leviston and Cam Robinson do not belong on an NFL football field. Like Cam Hayward versus Cam Robinson was the classic coughing baby versus hydrogen bomb. Like it was just overmatched. These guys don't belong. They're maybe depth pieces, and again, that's a maybe. Like you need to go into that NFL draft. You need to draft offensive line, and when you feel like you've drafted too much offensive line, you sit there and you say, no, I haven't. And you draft another one. Like they are so sparse on that offensive line. You just need help out front. It's a mess right now.
Any other takeaways from this game? Special teams only gave up one long punt return this week, 25 yards. Dylan Sampson, leading rusher with 27 yards, 11 carries.
27 yards. Leading rusher with 27 yards.
And again, that speaks to the offensive line is garbage. They have been unable to run the football. I think it's 4 straight weeks now. And like the last 3 weeks, Shedeur Sanders was the leading rusher. So then this week, 11 rushes for 27 yards, your leading rusher. Like that's not good enough. That's a big reason as to why this offense is as putrid as it is to watch on a week in, week out basis. Like it's broken. That side of the football remains broken. You put up 13 points against the Steelers. That's nothing to really get out of bed about. Like you saw the 49ers who have dealt with so many losses. They were without Kittle. Brandon Ayuk walked away from the team. They put up 40 and Brock Purdy's hitting the Dougie off a Euro step in the end zone. Like teams figure out how to build good offenses even when they're undermanned. So the Browns still are a broken offense and they got to just go back to the whiteboard in its entirety this offseason.
I mean, look at these rushing stats from yesterday. Dylan Sampson, who we were talking about, 11 carries, 27 yards. That's an average of 2.5. You have Raheem Sanders, 8 carries, 21 yards, average of 2.6. Shedeur comes in with 4 carries for 20 yards, average of 5. Travion Williams, he had an average of 5, only touched it twice, gets 10 yards. I mean, that's less than 100 yards out of all those guys right there. You got to be able to run the ball in Cleveland. Certainly, you got to be able to run it in December in Cleveland.
Hey, shout out to Andre Schmidt, who was 2 for 2, 50 and 33-yarder. Should the Browns have kicked the 50-yarder in the second quarter instead of going for it on 4th and 6th?
Yeah, that was a bizarre play call, by the way. Not just the decision to go for it on such a long down to distance, but then like the play call just seemed rushed. Like everything about that was odd.
Yeah, it felt at that point in the game that we were still trying to lose that game because, it was a lot like the Cavs on Christmas Day. I didn't believe that the Browns were going to win that game, even when we were up significantly by double digits. I never thought the Browns were going to win. I saw that and I'm like, this is something that's going to come back to bite us. Hey, credit where credit's due. It did not come back and bite us. We ended up winning the game, but I was shocked.
This segment also brought to you by Smart Choice Baths. It's the perfect time to remodel your bathroom, and right now, Smart Choice Baths is giving you $1,250 off your bathroom projects, plus a free luxury upgrade to add comfort and style. And just for Big Play listeners, you'll save an additional 10% on your project. So don't wait. Visit them at smartchoicebaths.com or give them a call at 844-GET-SMART to schedule your free consultation today. Smart Choice Baths, where luxury meets affordability. Welcome back back to the Big Play Cleveland show. Today's featured interview is brought to you by Garage Beer. Garage Beer is the perfect beer for any occasion. It's small batch, no frills, no bitterness. It's just beer that tastes like beer. The garage is always open with Garage Beer. And we now welcome on a very special guest, host of the Morning Juice on 97.1 The Fan in Columbus. We've got Jeff Tito, Thitoff. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Featured guest? I wasn't told I'd be a featured guest.
Oh, yeah.
Featured guest. Oh, yeah.
You look the part, too. I mean, amazing background. He's got all the equipment. This is a steady setup.
I dye my hair gray so my friends feel younger, just so you know. I'm not really gray.
It's got a little seasoned look of experience, and we want to get your experienced insight. First, we got to ask you, before we get into the Buckeyes and everything, any reactions from that Browns win over the Steelers yesterday?
You know, yes, I do have a reaction. Yes, I'm pissed off, okay? Because I really feel like this is not a game the Steelers should ever lose, but I knew they would going in. And there's all this talk about, they focused too much to make sure Garrett didn't. No, it's not that. They just are crap without DK Metcalf. And DK Metcalf, by the way, if they lose to Baltimore next week, which I expect them to lose to Baltimore next week, it's DK Metcalf's fault, and they should cut him.
Wow. So you're not buying into anything where you thought the game plan was just all about stopping Myles Garrett from getting the record. It was just you guys not having any options at wide receiver. And
yes, I think it's more that. Yes, okay. The fact there was no weapons at wide receiver. If you don't have DK Metcalf, just key on the run because Pat Fryermuth's not going to beat you. It's not going to happen. So it's like it was totally all the stars lined up. And the fact that Metcalf gets suspended 2 games and they didn't reduce it to 1, which I hope they would when he challenged it, when he appealed it and all that stuff. But, dude, you punched a Lions guy in a blue wig, and that's going to cost the Steelers this season.
Well, what do you make of this Steelers season, and particularly Mike Tomlin is going to be the topic of conversation now, where the Steelers were able to get that winning season, and he's Teflon when it comes to that. But when it comes to postseason success and potentially even getting to the postseason this year, maybe not the same thing.
God, I was so excited because it was sitting there for the taking. There are 3 teams the Steelers could play in the first round if they would have to beat Baltimore, get into the playoffs, whatever. It's the Chargers, on the road, a dome team in Pittsburgh. You could have had the Texans on the road, a dome team in Pittsburgh, or the Bills wouldn't want to be part of. And all of it set up great for the Steelers to do this. And so, yeah, I'm disappointed. They've had a couple of games this year that they never should have lost. The game to Cincinnati early in the year, 42 points over Cincinnati. Ridiculous to do that when they lose that game. But you look at the Steelers, though, overall, their 2 biggest wins were like the Colts and the Patriots. And in those 2 games, the Steelers caused 11 turnovers and barely won each game. So it has been a great season for Pittsburgh. I was excited about hosting a playoff game against the Chargers or the Texans. And now I think I'll probably just drink bleach. Don't do it at home, kids. I'm not endorsing it. I'm just saying I will.
Tito, what do you make of Shedeur Sanders then, and what you've seen out of him and his couple of starts with the Browns, but particularly against that Steeler defense that has created a lot of turnovers, and he gave away a couple turnovers there on Sunday. But through a more national view, how do you grade what Shedeur has been able to do for us so far?
So Shedeur, the problem with the Browns is the biggest thing, I say the problem, right? One of the problems. The Browns, their whole goal this entire season had to be, but by the time we get to next year's draft, do they know if they have a quarterback or not? I don't know if they know that. And Sanders, I said this back in week 8, by the way, that I thought that, and I truly believe this, I got chided for it by everybody, but I said that the Browns should have Gabriel start even weeks, Sanders start odd weeks, give them full weeks of practice with the ones, and just see what you've got. Because I don't know if Sanders is the answer. Now, the fact that Browns are doing what Browns do, they're winning to push themselves back further into the draft order there, that they won't be able to get one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in all likelihood. I think next year they roll with Sanders to start the season. I hate to say it. Deshaun's your backup. Okay, Deshaun's your backup quarterback. Dylan Gabriel, to me, is a wasted pick in the 3rd round. That's fine. But I'm saying go with those 3 guys, your quarterbacks for next year. I'm not convinced Sanders is the guy, but give him a full offseason with, if he's still there, Stefanski, and see what he can do. But give him a full offseason. I'm not sold on Sanders, but I'm also not ready to give up on Sanders either.
Switching tracks a little bit, let's talk Buckeyes. Buckeyes, of course, with that big game at Miami this week at the Cotton Bowl. I think a lot of fans are expecting that this could be an easy game, perhaps, for the Buckeyes. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a win by double digits. I'm not saying it'll be an easy win, though, but I think it's a double-digit win. It's one of the rare instances where Ohio State actually has an edge in special teams. That has not happened at all this year. But watching Miami, and I've watched Miami a few times this year when they've played, Carson Beck is still turnover prone. And this Buckeye defense, and by the way, give Matt Patricia this much time to prepare for somebody like Carson Beck and prepare for that Miami offense. I love the chances for Ohio State. So A&M has got a really good defense. They're not at Ohio State's level, and Miami had an awful time moving the ball against A&M, not to mention the special teams miscues by them. I think Ohio State, if they get to 17 points, I think they win. They haven't allowed more than 16 in a game this year. If they get to 17, I think they win. Miami's talented. They're talented on the defensive line as well. This will be a big test for the offensive line. But as long as they can keep staying clean, and as long as they're smart enough to keep the wide receivers on the field, that's a big deal as well. Now, I know that Ryan Day came out and said that he's going to do more of the play calling kind of thing. He'll have a bigger role in that. I think it's been that way all year long. I don't think Day ever truly, and this is just my opinion, I don't think Day ever truly gave the offense to Hartline. I think he let him have it to a certain extent, but it was still Day was going to be the guy, I think, who makes the final call at the end. No matter what they say, I think that was the case. It's just now more official. I am actually shocked that Hartline is still with the team. If I were Ohio State and Hartline, I would have said, look, let's cut bait a long time ago on this one. Go focus on South Florida. But it's going to be, because whatever happens now, if the offense struggles like they did against Indiana, they're going to look at it and say, well, it's been a distraction. Hartline's a distraction. So it's a big deal for Ohio State to get out early and score often and put up over 20 points against this Miami team.
Do you think Ohio State learned anything from that loss to Indiana?
You know, I don't think they did, because honestly, I looked at it like this game meant a hell of a lot more to Indiana than it did to Ohio State. Last year, my wife and I went out to Eugene for the game when Ohio State lost to Oregon. And I remember walking out of that stadium, and there were old, grown-ass men weeping about the victory. Like, this is the greatest thing ever. It was the biggest victory Oregon had ever had, and how important it was to them. I think it was the same way in this Big Ten championship game for Indiana. I think this game caused grown, old-ass men to weep, because it was like, that's how much it meant to them. Now, if Ohio State came in with a couple of losses and needing this win to get to the playoff, it might have been a different outcome. I don't think it mattered as much to Ohio State. The Michigan game definitely mattered. Getting a bye definitely matters. The Big Ten championship game did not matter as much. So I don't think we got Ohio State's – I just don't think we got the full effort out of it. And so I don't think they really learned anything. I think Ohio State, much like I thought last year, they're the best team standing right now. As long as they play their game in the next 3 games, they're going to be the national champions.
All right, Tito. Well, one game at a time. I know that's the MO, but would you rather face in the semis Georgia or Ole Miss?
Wow. I'd rather face Ole Miss, but only because Lane Kiffin's not there. If Lane Kiffin were there, I might have. Now, I know a lot of the coaches are back now, and Lane let them all go back to coach throughout the playoffs, so I get that. But I'd feel differently if Kiffin was there. The Georgia game, the Georgia team, I'd rather face Ole Miss than Georgia. Georgia's also, I think, going to present problems for Ohio State on the defensive line and in the trenches and whatnot. That's the one. I'd much rather face Ole Miss than Georgia, but I think Ohio State's better than both of them. The SEC just isn't that damn good this year. For years it was, Alabama and Georgia were great, Kirby Smart and all these guys. That was fine, but I just don't think that the SEC anymore, the top of the SEC, is that much better than, or even as good as the top of the Big Ten.
So with the Browns win over the Steelers, that means we move back in the draft order a little bit, kind of in that range where we might be able to get a Carnell Tate. What do you think about the Browns landing wide receiver Carnell Tate from Ohio State?
I hate it as an Ohio State fan because I don't want to see him go there and die. But it's a great pick, though. If they can get Carnell Tate is an absolute stud receiver. If they can grab him where they're picking 5, 6, 7, where they end up picking there, if they can get him in that range, I would love him there. Or over Reese there, I'd love him there as well. If he falls, or Caleb Downs, any one of those 3 guys, I would love to have for Cleveland. But they definitely got to think of Carnell Tate. I mean, that's Shedeur Sanders' best friend. I remember going back years ago. I remember in the NFL draft when when they had Tim Couch there and they drafted William Green, and I think it was Jaworski. Jaws was saying how great it was for Tim Couch's development to have a running back you can count on. Yeah. Having a wide receiver you can count on there. I didn't mean to say Tim Couch, by the way. I shouldn't have done that. But anyway, the fact if you can get Cardinal Tate there, though, that's a huge boon for the development of Shedeur Sanders.
Any thoughts on the Pop-Tart Bowl? Did you watch it?
I didn't watch any of the Pop-Tart Bowl. Look, are you watching bowl games?
Heck
are you
yeah, I watched the Pop-Tart Bowl. I watched the Snoop Dogg Bowl. By the way, Miami of Ohio was in that. We lost, unfortunately, but we got to see Snoop field a kickoff. I mean, where else in football do you get a chance to see things like that, Thitoff?
God, bowl games used to be so great when I was young.
Oh, old man speak. Okay, go ahead.
No, listen, I'm saying, when I was younger and I had 2 weeks off from everything in life, yes, I would watch the Blue Bonnet Bowl. I would watch the Liberty Bowl. I would watch all of those things. I would watch every single bowl game back then. But now, because I've got jobs and kids, I don't get to watch as much. So I'm very particular about the bowls I watch. I have not. My son has watched a lot of bowl games because he's off of life right now. He's 9 years old at home. He's watching all of these things. I am not.
Wow, and that was a good game. BYU.
I'm sure it was. I can't look the bowl games though because of all the opt-outs and the sponsor names. I get tired of all of that. Yes, that is old man. I agree with that. That is old man me.
You're Notre Dame. That's what you are. You've opted out of the whole bowl season.
That's what I've done. That's a fair way to put it. You're right. I'm Notre Dame. That's a good call by you. You like the Michigan hire?
I do. I think here's the thing. They've really got to rebuild a culture there, right?
Yeah.
And I think this takes a big step for them doing that. I don't think it's the type of home run hire that immediately, as an Ohio State fan, makes me worried. I think it's something that could build over time for Michigan as a program. So I think it's best for both of us, really, because they need to rebuild. And I wanted somebody who doesn't immediately freak me out that they're going up there to Ann Arbor. What do you think?
I wish they would have leaned in on it and asked the Ravens for permission to interview John Harbaugh. Yeah. Not the intention of hiring him, just to put it out there and just say, you know what, we're going to talk to John Harbaugh about this job. But it is, look, for Penn State and Michigan both, with how much they botched and how much they screwed things up this season, they got two really good hires with Matt Campbell to Penn State and Whittingham over to Michigan. I think that what they have to do, what Michigan needs to do, though, I know they're always, Michigan man. He's not a Michigan man. I get it. Right. They need to find a Michigan man who's in the coaching ranks and bring him on board to succeed after this, to be the next guy there. They need to have that eventually. I don't like the fact that he's an Urban Meyer disciple. And he talked to Urban about the job. He replaced Urban at Utah. And you've got, Day, who Urban handpicked here, and you've got Whittingham, who Urban handpicked there. I don't like that part of it. But I think it's a perfect hire for Michigan.
Tito Thitoff, he's the host of the Morning Juice 97.1, The Fan in Columbus. We thank you for your insight and your hot takes and your big reactions. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Had a blast. Talk to you guys again soon.
Sounds good. We're taking a break. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this. Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland show. It's time for our fill in the blank segment, and we're going to start with this one. My prediction for the Ohio State-Miami game is
a slow start. We haven't played now in about a month, so these teams, these offenses are going to be looking to kick it into gear. We know about that high-powered Ohio State defense. Miami is going to struggle, I anticipate. Ohio State may take a little bit to get going, but after that, Nick, I see us winning by 2 touchdowns.
I do as well. I really think that, we made so much out of who do you want to win that game? Texas Tech, do you want to play Marcel Reed? Do you want to play this Miami team and that great defense? Ultimately, it shouldn't matter. And I know we had a great chat with Tito about, Ryan Day taking the play calling over with Brian Hartline, kind of cooling down his role here with our Buckeyes, but none of that should matter. Ohio State's a way better team than Miami, and I'm expecting the Buckeyes to roll. I'm with you. The spread, I think, is 10.5. This should be a 2-touchdown win for Ohio State.
How about the non-Ohio State playoff game that I'm most interested in is?
We talked a lot about that Big Ten championship where Ohio State lost to Indiana. I'm interested to see Indiana go up against Alabama. They got that 1 seed. One of the things that comes along with success is expectations. Weary is the head that wears the crown. And in this case, Indiana's got the number 1 seed. Can they play it out? That's going to be a question mark. I want to see how they come out initially against Alabama.
And that'll be a fun matchup for us Browns fans to watch, because that's Fernando Mendoza versus Ty Simpson.
Right.
I know a lot of people have cooled on Ty Simpson in a major way. That's a guy that hasn't had a lot of college football starting experience, but the one thing that you could do to shoot up draft boards around the nation is playing well in the college football playoff. We've seen guys turn themselves into #1 overall picks based off of the college football playoff and what happens in the postseason for teams. So that's the one that I'm going to have my eye on as well. I think that's the best game on the slate outside of Ohio State and Miami.
The Guardians signing Pedro Avila is.
Very Guardians.
The innings eater is back.
Yeah, he's coming back, going to eat innings for us out of the pen. He was a starter over there in Nippon. He had a 4.04 ERA. I looked it up over there. 7-8 record. Going to come back, going to be in the pen, going to eat a lot of innings for us. It's a Guardians move. I like it. Not the splash we're looking for, but it's going to help out during a long season.
That's Japan's National Baseball League, by the way, if you didn't catch what Chris was putting down there. So good to bring Pedro back. He was a nice piece of that bullpen that got the Guardians to the playoffs a couple of years ago. But my big thing is, where's our other moves? Where's the big bat? Like, how many times do we have to get to the playoffs and not make a whole lot of noise for the organization to realize come October, you need to be able to mash some home runs? And I'm excited about the young talent on this team. I am. I want to see DeLauder. I want to see Valera. I want to see Travis Bazzana get his shot with the big club this year. I'm excited for all of that. Don't get me wrong. But I want to see that bat find his way to Cleveland. I don't know who's out there in free agency. I think you've kind of probably missed the big names. Schwarber's off the board. Pete Alonso's off the board. But they find ways to make underrated signings do the guard. So I'm still looking for that bat.
The blank will win the AFC North next week.
Transitive property of sports here. The Browns beat the Steelers. I think the Ravens are going to then beat the Steelers as well. If the Browns can beat them, I certainly think that the Ravens can. I'll tell you what, Aaron Rodgers to me looked very upset, very lost at times, and just angry out there on the field. Did not seem to be playing loose, did not seem to be one of those where he's into the offense, where he was really into the game overall. I wonder where his head's at. He's going to have a big one against Baltimore. I don't know if he could do it, Nick. I think this is the end.
It would be sad if this is the end of Aaron Rodgers. It would not be sad if this is the end of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it does stink in a way that you got to pull for one of these teams. Do you really? Not really. Just pull for the under, pull for misery. They're on Sunday Night Football to win the AFC North. Ultimately, I don't know that it matters, because I think whoever loses this game, you could be looking at making a potential head coaching change. Could Harbaugh be on the way out of Baltimore, or could Tomlin be on the way out of Pittsburgh?
Into Cleveland?
Dude, the AFC North this year is just the biggest disappointment, because we had all of these teams with actual expectations, and none of them ended up being good. Whoever wins, Steelers, Ravens, it'll be an easy out in the first round of the playoffs. I'd like to face either of those teams if I'm one of these AFC contenders.
Let's wrap up on our New Year's resolutions, gang. My biggest New Year's resolution this year is
quit mock drafts. I'm just done with mock drafts. I read them all the time. I get really into them. Last year, Shedeur was going top 5. We know what ends up happening there. So I need to ignore a lot more of the mock drafts coming into this year.
I could never quit the mock drafts, though.
That's
the thing. You could say that you're planning on quitting the mock drafts, especially it's a lot like going to the gym. You know, like you got the people
weight,
that
anything.
you know, the first 2 weeks you're in the gym every day, you're lifting weights, you're on that treadmill, but then you get the itchy finger and you got to pull out the phone and pull up a mock draft here or there. It's good for the soul, Chris.
Or I'm going to drink less, and then you have Brown season that happens, or calves start going into the well. You know how it goes. Man, these New Year's resolutions are tough around here in Cleveland.
You're not going to cut down on your Mountain Dew?
No. Diet Mountain Dew is off the table. I will continue to consume that in mass quantities.
See, that's the thing that I've learned about growing up is, like, you need your vices. Like, some vices, okay. In your world, Diet Mountain Dew. In my world, Cleveland Browns mock drafts.
Miles, you're over there laughing. You know me and the Diet Mountain Dew.
I don't really have one, Gab. I've never been big on resolutions. I don't know why. I'm just not great at
Remember,
it.
the closest thing I got, a couple years ago, like before the New Year, I started kind of a running streak.
Yeah,
and I know you
remember
got
that.
hot on it too, because you hopped on the treadmill a couple times, but it wasn't like a year-long thing. It was a short stint.
You pick them up, yeah. You pick up stuff,
Yeah.
and that is very much how my brain works. Is I pick stuff up and I drop stuff off as the year prolongs. Like trying to give myself something January 1st. Like I just know that's not gonna be something that sticks.
I'm going to try this year on a serious note to close my rings every single day. It's
a good one.
My activity rings, and I think I could do it. I've been close in prior years, so. You guys need to work with me. Hold me to it this year. Close the rings.
Okay, if you're going to do a serious one, maybe I'll try to sing more national anthems this year so that I don't get as nervous about it, as terrified. And Nick, we'll just keep you the way you are.
We need to just brainstorm more.
Yeah, that's fair. We got to take a break. We'll be back with Big Play Bets right after this.
Big Play Bets on the Big Play Cleveland show presented by our friends at FanDuel. You know how fast NFL game days move. One big play and everything changes. That's why live betting on FanDuel is a game changer. With FanDuel, you can bet in real time while the game unfolds. If the score just flipped, jump on a new spread or a live money line. If a wide receiver is starting to heat up, bet that next touchdown score or total yards. Think a drive's going to stall in the red zone, take a live field goal prop or just fade the total. Live player props, team totals, drive results, updated spreads, next play markets, it's all there. It's fast, it's fun, and with FanDuel, your live bets move as quickly as the game does. So whether you're riding the momentum or just fading the hype, FanDuel is going to put you right in the middle of every single moment. Visit FanDuel.com/BigPlay to download the app and bet the NFL live with us all season long. Must be 21 plus, present in select states. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com.
Okay, gang, the Browns at the Bengals. Browns opened as 7-point underdogs this week. Are you surprised by the spread being that big with the way the Browns typically play Cincinnati?
Big Play Cup is on the line, too, here between us and Big Play Cincinnati. They beat us by 1. It's the total, the point total for the season. So I think that the Bengals, coming off of that big win over the Cardinals, they kind of rolled there. I think the Bengals are in a spot to really blow us out, unfortunately, in this one, Nick. I think the spread, 7 points. I made the mistake yesterday of saying there's no way the Browns are going to beat the Steelers. 4.5, that's easy money. I put all kinds of money on the Steelers yesterday. Of course, ended up losing. I think it's safe money this week to go ahead and put money on the Bengals.
I agree with you. I changed my stance. On game day, I bet Browns money line yesterday. I parlayed Browns money line with our Harold Fannin anytime touchdown and that cash, so that was really nice. But I'm with you. Like, it feels like Joe Burrow is kind of having fun. He called out the team and he called out his situation, and it feels like they've responded in a little bit of a way down there in Cincinnati, and they've gotten their season turned back around. Obviously, it's all for naught. They're out of the playoffs like we are, and this is a meaningless Week 18 game. I just think Cincinnati's a lot further along organizationally than the Browns are. So, yeah, I think this is a game that's probably not close, and the Browns could come into this one maybe feeling a little bit fat after what they were able to do against the Steelers, but could be another classic come back to earth spot for the Browns.
1, 2, 3, Cancun.
The over-under opened at 43.5. Does this seem way too high for a Browns game?
Only one Browns game has gone over 43.5 points in the last 7 weeks, and that was against Tennessee. So I think that this game is going to stay on the low end. I don't think the Browns are really going to move the ball very much. Hell, even against the Steelers, we didn't move it very much. Only scored, 13 points. So I don't expect us to do much against the Cincinnati down there. I do expect Cincinnati to put some points on the board, so I think the majority are going to come on that side of the ledger, but I'm still betting the under here, Nick.
Yeah, and only 5 of the 16 Browns games this year have gone over that 43.5 point total. It's a good Cincinnati offense, so I get why they're giving respect in that way, and the Browns have been moving the ball a bit more with the Tommy Rees, Shedeur Sanders combination. I just don't know that it's going to be enough. That's a huge number. I tend to stay away from that in Browns games in general. Certainly going to do that in this spot, and probably just stay away in its entirety.
How about our anytime touchdown scorer? I know we've been hot on
Harold Fannin, a couple of weeks ago.
I don't know that our boy Hank
on
is
the
going to be in
ground
there
and
this
through the
week.
air. Last week it was through the air. This week he may not be playing, so I'm going to go with Jerry Jeudy, our wide receiver 1. Why not? Seemed to be a favorite target yesterday of Shedeur. Almost 51 yards receiving, so who knows? Maybe he gets into the end zone against Cincinnati.
All right, and I'll pick a value bet. What about Shedeur Sanders handing the ball off to Raheem Rocket Sanders? Has been a nice option for the Browns out of the backfield. Obviously, this run game took a massive hit when Quinshon Judkins goes down with that injury. Dylan Sampson is a nice change of pace back. I don't know that you necessarily want him running between the tackles, but it seems like Rocket Sanders is the guy that runs between the tackles down there in that red area. Maybe they give him an opportunity. Remember, I think he scored week 1 against the Cincinnati Bengals earlier this season, so maybe Rocket Sanders finds the end zone again in another game without Quinshon Judkins against the Bengals. Wild to think that Judkins will make his first start against the Bengals not till 2026.
Okay, guys, will Myles Garrett break the sack record on Sunday?
Absolutely. Get it done in the first quarter. Come on, Myles. The whole stadium yesterday was chanting for you. We're going to be chanting from afar. Get that sack record.
And Burrow is one of the many quarterbacks that he's put into the ground on numerous occasions. So what's one more for the record? I don't think Joe Burrow will be running away like Aaron Rodgers was. At least he shouldn't be.
All right, gang. Don't forget, you can watch the Top Dogs show. Tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. for a full breakdown of everything Cleveland Browns with Hanford Dixon, Josh Cribbs, and Phil Taylor. You can catch it live on X, YouTube, or the Big Play app. That's the Top Dogs show, only on the Big Play Sports Network. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week.